We use money every single day. It costs money to eat, and it costs money to feed other people. Yet most of us are never taught about money. So most people say, money doesn't matter. I shouldn't think about money. I shouldn't have to worry about money. Money's bad, money's evil. When in reality, it costs money to eat and it costs money to feed other people. And when you don't understand that, you're the one going to be paying the highest taxes. You're the one that's going to be struggling to pay your bills. You're the one that's not going to be able to go to Disney World. And you wonder why. And in this economic system that we all live in, money talks. And unless you understand that, you're never going to be able to win in the system. And the crazy thing about that is we're all taught to trust the system. We're all taught to trade our time for dollars. We're all taught to work to get paid because that's what we're taught to do. But wealthy people are not working for a bigger salary. They're working for more assets because that can continue to pay you even when you're not working. And that's that shift. When I saw that, I got angry because I felt like I was checking all the boxes. I was doing good in school. I bust my in school. I was going to do all the right things, become a doctor, do everything that I was told. But what I didn't realize is those boxes weren't my boxes. Who created these boxes? And why is there this whole world of financial education that we're never taught? We have to get over these money myths that many people keep selling you, that you can't build wealth if you rent where you live. You can't build wealth if you don't get a good degree. That's not the way that the system works. See, there's the traditional rules and then there's the real financial education money rules. You got to understand game of money. And I started reading these books. And the first thing I learned was the difference between an asset and a liability, which were things I had never heard of before. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Wealthy people want to own assets. I was buying a whole lot of liabilities because I was working in this party promotion business and I wanted to look the part. So I would make a little bit of money, buy a nice watch, make a little bit more money, put some new rims on my car, put a new sound system in my car, put a new subwoofer in my car. I mean, I was blowing money on all these dumb things to look like I was rich. But in reality, I was just making a lot of other people rich. And then I learned about this thing called investing, which really started to upset me because I thought I was doing everything right. And I'm reading these books that are talking about how every wealthy person invests in real estate. When I buy my real estate investment properties and my property values go up, the rental values also go up. The rent is what pays for the maintenance. The rent is what pays for the upgrades. The rent is what's paying for the property taxes and the insurance. The rent is putting money in my pocket. And this is cash flow that I can use. I can use this cash flow to buy a vacation. I can use this cash flow to buy food. I can use this cash flow to pay for my lifestyle. But your house doesn't do that. You have to pay to live in your house. When people say buy a house, what does that mean to most people's eyes? It means buy my home.
Yeah.
I want to buy this nice place for me to live.
Which is what most people do when they get a bit of money. They take their salary from work and then they go and buy a house to live in, and then they pay into the mortgage, which means that they are now building an asset, right?
They're building what many people call generational wealth, which is one of the biggest lies when it comes to money. The reason why is because your house is actually a money pit. And that's why I want you to think of your house as a liability. But I want you to hear me clearly. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy a house. I'm not saying it's bad to buy a house. You have to treat your house like a liability. This suit that I'm wearing is a liability. This watch is a liability. My shoes are liabilities. Should I not buy them? No. I gotta make sure I can afford them. So when people think about buying a house, what do they think of? They think, I'm gonna build generational wealth. I'm gonna build wealth, I'm gonna pay it off, and I'm gonna be able to have more freedom in my life because I can own this house. And so the mistake that people make is they buy a house they can't afford, and now they're paying all this money into their mortgage, thinking that I'm building wealth. They no longer have money to save. They no longer have money to invest into other real assets. And their money is just going to pay down their mortgage, thinking that this is going to build my wealth. But you've been sold a lie. 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. We live in what's called a credit-based economy, which means if you make $50,000 a year, you don't live off of $50,000 a year. We live in what's called a credit-based economy, which means you have the ability to spend the $50,000 you earn plus debt. Because as you make more money, as you have a good job, you become more creditworthy. And so now when you live in this credit-based economy with no financial education, people spend, the economy grows, and most people have no idea what hit them. Who wants to spend less money? We want to buy more nice things. But unless you can control the spending, unless you know how to save, you will never build wealth. You are the prime customer for our economic system. Banks love you because they can sell you payday loans, they can sell you credit cards, they can sell you lines of credit, and they can keep you in debt for the rest of your life, which means you keep making the bank rich. Corporations love you because you're not going to think twice when we show you this nice bag, when we show you this nice vacation. You're going to want this stuff, and so we love selling you this stuff. The government loves you because you're going to pay the highest taxes. Employees pay the highest taxes. And so when you're in that situation, you are making everybody else rich at your expense. And so if you want to break out of this, the first thing you got to understand, you need to make yourself rich before you make everybody else rich. Because when you're spending all your money, you are putting your money into their pockets. And you have to stop that. You got to keep that money for yourself. And that means you got to stop the spending. That means right now, no more eating at restaurants. No more vacations. No more doing anything that doesn't put money in your pocket, and no more Netflix.
No.
And the reason why I say this isn't because you're going to save $15 a month. It's so you can save 2 hours of your time a day. The average American is watching more than 2 hours of television a day. You cannot afford those 2 hours a day being wasted on TV. And that means right now, you have to go out and start using the time to learn, start using the time to work, and start using the time to make some extra dollars. You have to understand that if you want to continue being able to live that lifestyle, you're going to have to make some changes today. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in this lifestyle for the rest of your life. And it's only going to get more difficult. If you want to become wealthy, the first part is just your own mindset. It's your own discipline. I can tell you everything about investing. I can tell you different ETFs and index funds to invest in. I can tell you different investment institutions out there. I can tell you which stock brokerages to use. I can tell you just invest 15% of your income into this for the next 10, 20, 30 years and you're going to become wealthy. But until you can get over that mindset, you're never going to become wealthy. All you're doing is being sold by emotion. You're the one that's going to get caught up in the get-rich-quick schemes. You're the one that's going to make the bank rich because you're going to stay stuck in debt. Corporations are going to love you because they can keep selling you the nicest and newest stuff because you want to look rich, you want to show it off to your friends, you want to show it off to the girls, and you get stuck in that cycle. So I'll tell you where I invest my money so you can understand. I put my money in 5 places. I put my money into my own business. I invest my money into real estate. I invest my money into stocks. I invest my money into speculative assets, which includes cryptocurrency. And then I own some physical gold. So starting with my own business, I run a company called Briefs Media. We're probably most known for our Market Briefs newsletter where we break down what's happening in the financial markets. So that's Briefs Media. Number 2 is I invest in physical real estate. So I'm going out to buy rental properties that I can use to generate cash flow. Number 3, I invest in stocks. This is in the form of investing in individual companies and investing in funds. Funds are ETFs, index funds, mutual funds, where you can get investment into a broad basket of companies. Number 4 is my speculative investments. Notice how I said number 4. This is one of the smallest pieces now, which are things that I believe can go up very quickly, but can also fall just as fast. So these speculative assets, which make up a small piece of my portfolio, include things like startups that I invest in. It also includes things like cryptocurrency. And then I own a little bit of physical gold. Physical gold makes up about 2% of my portfolio. But going back to cryptocurrency, because that's what you asked, I think it is a speculative investment. I have made a ton of money in cryptocurrency. And I started buying cryptocurrency before it was as popular as it is today. I began buying it in 2016 or so, when Bitcoin was around 3,000, maybe 2016, 2017, when Bitcoin was around $3,000 a coin. And I have sold some. And for me, I understand it can go up very fast, but it can fall just as fast. Use the speculative assets as something that is speculative and treat it as such. The mindset is number 1. You have to believe that you're going to become wealthy. What I like to say is you have to say, I will become wealthy.
Why?
Because if you don't believe you're going to become wealthy, it is going to be impossible for you. And sometimes you have to be able to find a taste of success and see what that looks like and tell yourself, I will become wealthy. Not that I might, not that I can, but I will become wealthy. The second thing is money is a tool. And the reason why I say that is because we've been kind of hinting at this throughout this entire discussion. But the reason why many people are so scared to talk about money, the reason why money is such a taboo topic, is because we are insecure about our own money. When I say money is a tool, what I mean by that is money doesn't make you a good person. Money doesn't make you a bad person. It amplifies who you are.